George Russell won the season-opening Australian Grand Prix to get his World Championship bid up and running as Mercedes overcame gripping early challenge from Ferrari to finish first and second in Melbourne. Anthony was second after recovering from a poor start, with Leclerc third and Hamilton fourth. Pole sitter Russell lost out to Leclerc and was under pressure from Hamilton too during a wild start to the first race of the new rules, after the Ferrari had, as widely expected, catapulted off the line from fourth and seventh on the grid. Leclerc overtook Russell into turn one, the first of 7 changes of lead between the pair in the opening 9 laps, as they traded positions with regularity as F1's new racing tactics and energy deployment played out dramatically. Leclerc emerged at the end of the action-packed early phase, still in the lead from Russell and Hamilton, but the race returned on lap 11 when Isaac Hajar's Red Bull broke down on track to initiate a VSC. Mercedes took the chance to pit both of their cars, including Antonelli, who had dropped back from the front row amid battery issues at the start and now ran fourth on the next lap, but Ferrari stopped neither of theirs. Leclerc and Hamilton instead pitting on lap 25 and 28 respectively in normal racing conditions, with Ferrari seemingly thinking they would have been unable to finish the race had they changed the tyres when Mercedes did. But despite their tyre advantage for the rest of the race, Mercedes' pace on older rubber was such that Russell and Antonelli were able to stay ahead and crucially avoid having to make another pit stop to secure a 1-2. What Ferrari gave up was track position, and they lost control of the race. That was a critical thing, said Martin Brundle. With Russell beating Antonelli by 2.9 seconds, Leclerc finished 15 seconds behind, just ahead of Hamilton, whose first Ferrari podium remained tantalisingly out of reach. But his pace was really good at the end. A good race though, said Russell. He took his 6th career win. Today was much more along with what we were expecting. We had maybe a 10th or 2 advantage, but not the 7 tenths of yesterday. While Mercedes and Ferrari clear the pack in race trim, as had been expected after pre-season testing, McLaren and Red Bull, the fastest cars at the end of last season, had to settle for a distance 5th between reigning world champion Lando Norris and a recovering Max Verstappen. Norris won out, although Verstappen still could have been consistent with his recovery drive from 20th after his crash in qualifying. Both drivers made 2 starts. While Hajar retired, running well in 4th early on, Piastri didn't even make the start of his home race after he suffered heartbreak when he crashed on his way to the grid before the race. All 5 British drivers finished in the top 8 and therefore scored points, with Oliver Bearman beating Arvid Lindblad on his debut, but he still came home a fine 8th. Gabriel Borsetto, whose teammate Hulkenberg didn't make the start on technical grounds, was 9th ahead of Gasly and 10th. F1 drivers have said throughout pre-season testing that the sport's new cars and engines, which feature a 50-50 split between combustion and electrical power, are a far more complex challenge to master, and that would be effectively learning on the job early on. The early laps of the Melbourne race certainly bore that out at the front, after Ferrari lived up to their pre-race billing as the grid's best starter by moving up to the first with Leclerc and third with Hamilton on the first laps. Russell got back ahead of the former for the lead when he blasted past turn 11, but Leclerc was back and not ahead after a full lap, and he got his engine deployment spurt on to repass the Mercedes on the outside of turn 9. The duel continued into the start of the lap 8 when Mercedes ducked down the inside into turn 3, only for Leclerc to repeat his earlier move 6 corners later, Russell having used up his boost. At the start of lap 9, Russell arrived into the first turn with massive speed to dive down the inside of the Ferrari again, but locked up and couldn't get his car slowed down as Leclerc nipped back through to the exit to take the lead again. Russell said it's the kind of race we were expecting: chaotic start, difficult to match the battery, yo-yoing a bit with overtakes. The closing speed are so big with these new cars, but it was mega. He was looking at the mirrors at Hajar, and then I had Leclerc come out of nowhere. Leclerc admits he was living on his wits early on. It's very tricky at the start. None of us knew what to expect, and it's even more tricky with the overtakes. You don't know when your battery will cut on the straight, so while defending, there are massive speed differences. It was quite challenging, but I was quite happy to get out of the battle first. Unfortunately, that didn't help us for the rest of the race, but it was a fun, and P3 was the best we could do. Speaking after the race, Ferrari defended their decision not to pit the drivers under the Hajar triggered VSC, insisting Mercedes had the pace and tyre best, beat them whatever. The pace of Mercedes was better than us, so for Sarah, I have no regret on the strategy, no regret on the pace. We did a decent step compared to yesterday. Hamilton said that at least one of us could have come in over team radio, but speaking after the race, he said, we're not as fast as Mercedes, we still have work to do. It was really fun and felt good for me. A couple of laps more and I could have had Charles at the end, so lots of positives to take. And before I go, let me run you through the classification from the race. Russell and Antonelli 1 and 2. I think, about what everyone expected, but maybe a bit less comfortable than expected. Ferrari, I think, probably maybe should have pitted at least one car, like Hamilton said. But to be honest, I don't think it would have made a difference for the race. I think Hamilton will be encouraged by his pace compared to Charles, though. Norris are way back. I think Verstappen did well to recover early on, but just couldn't really get past. And it seems a bit off the top 2 teams at the moment. Bearman, top of the midfield, he's got to be happy with that. Great job. And Lindblad on his debut was absolutely superb. Credit to him. Bortoleto ninth, so Audi will be delighted with that on their debut. For Gasly to get a point, I think it's a decent result, but maybe Alpine also would have been hoping for more considering the teams above them. Ocon 11th, I mean, in the Haas, Behrman in 7th, and maybe you'll be a bit disappointed with that. Just doesn't want to let Behrman get away. Albon in 12th, and obviously Sainz 15th. Really disappointing weekend for Williams. I think they would have been expecting a lot more than that. Still plagued by those issues. Lawson will be very disappointed from where he started. Obviously a terrible start, losing out to Lindblad, his rookie teammate. Colapinto 14th. I mean, just didn't really have the pace of Gasly, did he? The Astons obviously all expected, but to be fair, they did get further. Bottas, teething issues for Cadillac. Hadjar will be devastated because that was such a good job from him. Hulkenberg would have had a chance of points as well, and Piastri, I mean, his home race, whether that's his fault or not, who knows, but absolutely gutting for him.
Anyway guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share and subscribe. Follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily F1 news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.